What's up YouTube, it's Decklists TCG here and welcome back to our TCG video on my channel. I am finally back from my trip to Hawaii and we're actually going to be talking about some Pokemon TCG over here. The World Championships actually took place last weekend and today we're going to be talking about some analysis, which decks are actually played at day 1 of the event, day 2 at the event, and then the top 32 decks. We're going to be taking a look at the deck list because the new season is already on its way and you can already start earning championship points with, of course, stuff like, for example, league challenges, league cups, and upcoming regionals. So you actually want to be knowing which of the decks performed really well at Worlds, so you can start grinding some points yourself with these fantastic lists. So as we see here with the deck analysis, is that Regidrago was the #1 pick, and that's actually something I was considering for the event. I also played at the event and got top 32, so definitely check that vlog out if you haven't already. I had the best time over at Worlds and even vlogged a couple of the other islands that I went through. If you want to check out some traveling vlogs, that I also have those available on the channel. And also, before we dive into some more analysis, be sure, of course, to hit that subscribe button as usual, because you're going to get daily Pokemon TCG content coming your way once again, so you don't want to be missing out, so definitely do that. And if you like what you see, feel free to leave a like. It helps out the channel tremendously. With that being said, the reason that I personally didn't go for Regidrago is that I was not in the mood for a bazillion amount of mirror matches, which is most of the time out of my hands, because of facts like the coin flip is so important in mirror matches that I didn't want to go with that. I personally went for Lugia, which was the third most popular deck in the room on day 1. There's also Charizard Pidgeot with some Dusknoir in there, Gardevoir Munkidori around 9%, and then also Raging Bolt, and the surprise of the tournament, Iron Thorns EX. That is going to be one of those decks that you don't want to be seeing if you were actually playing the top tier decks. It was the underdog pick and also won the World Championships. So what happened during day 2 of the event is that we do see a decrease of Gardevoir, an increase of Iron Thorns, increase of Lugia, and even the most popular deck, the BDIF Regidrago VSTAR with the Teal Mask Ogerpon, got even all the way up to 27% of the meta, which actually is insane. I've never seen it's been a while since I've seen numbers like this with crazy conversion rates. It's been like since Silver Tempest Lugia, so it is the undisputed best deck in the format because of the versatility that, of course, the Apex Dragon attack brings, with the help of Kyurem helping out the deck even further, on top of even using stuff like the Dracopult EX's attack with the spreading. It's actually a very crazy deck. You can attack in stuff like Haxorus, Hisuian Goodra, Giratina VSTAR, you name it, all the dragons are there in the discard pile. Lugia is going to be one of those picks that does typically have an okay matchup against Regidrago, Charizard, and even other decks in the room. So for me personally, that was the pick for me, because I didn't want to get those mirror matches on. If you want to learn more about my tournament experience, definitely check out the vlog. The link should be in the description below. Also, Charizard was around, and I actually lost against one of those Zards in the second to last game in day 2, which was very crazy because they were using stuff like Tortong, changing their basic Pokemon into a Duskull, evolving it into Dusclops, and out of nowhere get, of course, that prize advantage to then use Counter Catcher. So cool stuff with Zard as well. Raging Bolt, also a very popular pick because it had a great matchup against Regidrago, and then Iron Thorns shutting down everything with the neutralization ability. Gardevoir not converting all that well into that day 2. With that being said, there was around 1,146 players over on the tournament, and I think about 127 advanced all the way to the day 2 meta. So that's going to be something we're going to be talking about right now. Also, we want to, of course, check out the top 32 results. That's why you're here for. So let's just check them out all together here. I do think personally that the world champion here, Fernando Cifuentes, if I pronounce it correctly, was the first person from Chile to actually win a world championship, and that's with Iron Thorns. That's the deck we're going to be checking out here. I expect a huge increase of Iron Thorns decks on the ladder, so prepare yourself if you are, of course, playtesting. This is going to be one of the decks that people will consider for upcoming events. You do have the neutralization ability, shutting down anything with a rule box, so pretty much path to the peak, and that's the only way you can shut down EX and V Pokemon, their abilities. And you even shut down stuff like Radiant Greninja because that also has a rule box. You have these very disruptive cards in the form of Crushing Hammer, Judge, and even Giovanni's Charisma. The deck plays Pokegear and also a couple of Cologne to deal with some pesky Mimikyus going head-to-head with you. Otherwise, that's going to be very difficult. With the help of a lot of Lost City, you can get rid of those Mimikyus and then, yeah, pretty much do the stuff you were designed to do. Slow the opponent down. Another cool card that this deck actually gained from Shrouded Fable was that Colorless Sustenance. Being able to get, of course, yeah, DTE instantly from the deck is very useful. Also, stadiums are going to be able to search that with that Colorless. So this is a very simple deck that pretty much is only playing 4 copies of Iron Thorns, and that's about it. You have the TM Turbo Energize to set yourself up if you go second, and you can also penny loop one time because there's 1 penny in there. A very interesting list for Pokemon catchers as well, so lots of gust for this archetype. So let's continue on with the second place. Seinozuki Shiokawa, if I pronounce it correctly. Roaring Moon, also a huge surprise to the tournament. I mainly got my invite by playing Roaring Moon EX, so this is quite of a delight to see that this deck has gotten some brand new life because of Patcharant EX as well as Pheasantipity EX from Shrouded Fable. The Patcharant EX allows you to switch into the active position with the only downside is that you poison yourself, so you do need no switch cards in the list, and that means you can always switch all the way into the active position with your Darkness type Pokemon. That means that Dark Patch is going to be very great because you can instantly you use the Pokemon you power up to swing into the active position. There's even the Pheasantipity, which can from time to time snipe opponents, but most of the time will draw cards with Flip the Script ability. And that's something that this yeah, Roaring Moon EX deck was lacking, is the late game. If you get Ion to a low hand size, is that you yeah, cannot draw out of it. And now with Pheasantipity, you can even use the Night Stretcher to get, of course, back one of those basic Pokemon. So a very cool list for Pokemon Catcher as well. So the very funky thing is that both decks in the finals were playing 4 copies of Pokemon Catcher. So yeah, coin flips are gonna be more popular than ever before, unfortunately. But I'm very excited to be testing this out on the channel as well as the first place winning list, because I love myself a little bit of a very aggressive Roaring Moon deck. Then Jesse Parker got all the way here to the 3rd place with good old classic Miraidon. Miraidon was not too popular going into this event, but it did get some great matchups here because you're going to be one of those decks that can go toe-to-toe with Regidrago, because typically Regidrago wants to go first, and you of course can knock out a Regidrago before it is even able to do anything. With Forest Sealstone, you grab yourself Prime Catcher or Arven, depending on what you want, and that's going to be allowing you to set yourself up with the Photon Blaster of the Miraidon and knock out a Regidrago before it's able to evolve. You can of course take additional prize cards with Amp you very much, easy to set up with simply attaching a DTE and then getting electric generator hits with 2 energies. With 16 energies in the list is kind of easy to do so, and this is a very consistent list, also having that late game potential with the Pheasantipity to draw yourself back into the game, and a Radiant Greninja on top of it. So another very aggressive 2-prize beatstick deck that I also love to test out. Then Roz Wolpe, of course, getting its top 4. Very cool to see here with Regidrago VSTAR. Regidrago VSTAR was literally everywhere. It was 27% of the day 2 meta field. I also beat a couple of them. So Regidrago was there, and most of the lists are looking very similar, with a temple included into the list, and most people went for Giratina V-Star over, of course, the Raging Bolt. I personally had the Raging Bolt in my Regidrago list, so because I do love myself some one-shots. The only bad side is that you do, of course, start with it not most of the time, but sometimes, and that's could be very detrimental. On the other hand, I do play 4 copies of Regidrago V-Star. There's some differences left and right, but most of these lists will be the same, with 4 Nazball, 4 Ultra Ball, 4 Earthen Vessel, 4 E-Switch, and 2 Superior Energy Retrieval, so you don't see too much craziness around. You do have the option to use that Kyurem, slapping the Triforce attack, 110 damage to 3 targets, can definitely get some stage 2 setup decks crumbling before they even begin. And most of the lists are also putting 2 copies of Dragapult EX in the list, because that's the attack you use most of the time with that Phantom Dive. Alright, there's the Cologne in there, of course. You can, Prime Catcher that Manaphy up and then Triforce for game. Isaiah Bradner getting, of course, 5th place with another Regidrago list. Is there anything different here? You do see in this list, there's the Radiant Zard, which can, of course, boost your matchup up against Raging Bolt, which is most of the time your worst matchup you can have. And also, this list is playing 1 copy of the Pokestop to even oomph the list a little bit further. And there's even 2 copies of Super Rod in the list, so you can, of course, go Radiant Zard, Super Rod, Radiant Zard over and over again against specific matchups if you would love to. Definitely with E-switches and your Teal Mask, you can get Zard to attack a little bit earlier than you might think. So that is the cool inclusion in there. Then we have James Goring from Australia with Raging Bolt. Raging Bolt is one of those decks, also a beat stick deck. So you have a lot of beat stick decks doing well. Miraidon, Roaring Moon, Raging Bolt. The format is super fast for sure. This one is playing 1 copy of the Sandy Shocks to deal with stuff like Mimikyu in combination with a Super Rod. And then also this list is playing Pheasantipity EX. Pheasantipity EX slowly but steadily becoming one of the most popular cards from Shrouded Fable. And this list also plays the Prime Catcher and Pokemon Catcher. So tons of Pokemon Catchers in that top 8. Gusting has never been that important in the game. I can also understand that if the opponent Regidrago is the most popular deck, you want to knock out the Regidrago before it evolves so you can win the game quickly, and that's what all of these lists with Pokemon Catcher were bringing to the table. 4 Trekking Shoes. And this list is only playing 3 copies of Pokegear, but that does make sense, and nothing too crazy or out of the ordinary in my opinion. Then some more Regidrago with Iron Rob with Regidrago here, 7th place. Also playing, this looks very similar to, Vance Kelly also played this list. And this was a list playing Night Thrasher, only 1 Super Rod, also having the Radiant Zard and the Hawlucha. Hawlucha pings are very important, definitely if you are going to be using that Phantom Dive, so you can knock out 70 HP Pokemon on the bench. Only 1 Superior Energy Retrieval is something I am still in doubt for, but you do have Nightly Stretcher and Super Rod to make up for that, so it's a little bit of split of everything, and with the help of Legacy Star you can of course get a puzzle piece back from the discard pile. Also this list is playing Temple of Sinnoh because Lugia otherwise is very difficult. Michael Davidson getting top 8 with Regidrago as well, and this list is playing 1 copy of the Turo, trying to help out that Raging Bolt matchup because with the Turo you can of course get to oh no, now that I think about Turo, is just very strange, so you can reuse stuff like Hawlucha or pick up Kieran when you start with it. There's no Noivern in here. Everybody left the Noivern at home. So the combination of a lone Noivern not in here at all. So tons of Regidrago. Then we go all the way to 9th place, or the asymmetrical top cut here. Rahul already made it there with the Lugia VSTAR. Only a 1-1 line of Chinchino is a little bit crazy in my opinion. I wasn't full board with Chinchino, but they are actually playing Raikou on top of Iron Bundle, weirder, so it's actually more focused on the 2 prize Pokemon here, and with the help of Earthen Vessel and the Lightning Energy you can actually attack with these Pokemon a little bit early, and Earthen Vessel also make sure you can discard Archeops a little bit easier. Masagosa, the coin flip card, also not too keen on that, but most of the people playing Lugia actually were playing that. Legacy Energy is such a busted energy, so if the opponent is not playing Temple of Sinnoh you can just run away with tons and tons of games. For sure. Then we go to Tord Reklev, the legend, all the way here with Charizard Pidgeot. Charizard Pidgeot with TM Evolution. Nonetheless, there's Pidgeotto in there. There's also a 1-1 line of Bibarel and even Robska. Robska is a very great card because that's going to be one of the counters to Regidrago, being able to prevent yourself from Triforce, the attack of Kyurem, as well as the attack of Phantom Dive of a Dragapult. So very cool to see that. Our testing group also was testing out Robska and Gardevoir. We currently did not go for that strategy, but Robska, a very great counter. If you want to counter the Regidrago deck, that's definitely something you can include. Robska in combination with the 4 copies of Arven and the TM Evolution. Very crazy situations, like there's a Scovid in the list, there is also Pheasantipity, and Tord Reklev also loves to play with a lot of one-off counts here, so there's a Torton in there. There is also the copy of Palpat, so you can get it back if need be. Hisuian Heavy Ball, Collapse Stadium, Temple of Sinnoh, only 5 fire-type energies and also a DTE, so sometimes you can attack with the Pidgeotto EX, you can use the DTE to retreat your Bibarel if need be, and there's also the capabilities of attacking with Radiant Charizard a little bit earlier than the opponent might expect. Also a Cologne in here, which can actually activate the Infernal Rain over the effect of something like the neutralization of an Iron Thorn. So canceling alone, very easily searchable with the stuff of Arven. So cool stuff for sure to be expected by Tord Reklev. Then we go all the way to Grand Chan with another Regidrago list. Is there something new in here that we haven't seen before? No, there is not. Also a split line between Temple of Sinnoh and one copy of the Pokestop. Most of the people are actually playing that Squawkabilly. Luo Tianxing from China actually was playing a Gardevoir. So this is the only Gardevoir we do see here on the top tables. And that is going to be playing with Drifloon, Cresselia, 2 Munkidori, Klefki, very great against Regidrago, might I add, and also the Fluttermane, helping a ton against stuff like, for example, the Iron Thorns that was randomly popularized, and has Hammer helping out against Lugia to get rid of that Gift Energy or the Legacy Energy, and the TM Devo helping out against the Zard build. So a classic, Guardian list with some sweet text included. Alright, then another Regidrago list with Miloslav all the way from the Czech Republic, and this list is very similar to stuff we've seen before. People are definitely playing Cologne, definitely playing the Temple of Sinnoh. Most of them are actually playing the Temple of Sinnoh. Also, you can think about adding in Cleffa, you can add, think about excluding it, on only 2 copies of Iono instead of 3, and that's about it. Everybody playing that 2 copies of the Dragapult EX. Then Konsta Kalama actually playing Lugia for a change from Finland. So let's see what this list is rocking with. This is a classic Lugia list with only two line of Chinchino. They added in the Weirder and an Iron Bundle. Iron Bundle could help out if the opponent is, of course, playing Iron Thorns, but also other attackers. You can push it to the wayside and then still use Summoning Star. People also were tacking in Fluttermane into Lugia, but they actually cut it all out. So this is also a list with Mesagosa. I don't like Mesagosa. I'm a bigger fan of Jamming Tower, and you're going to be seeing my Lugia list quite shortly. There is Ryan Harris with Miraidon as well. This is very similar to the list here. Sawyer Melbourne also played this exact 60. Also playing some Judges into the list and Iron Thorns. So you do have some disruptive elements with the 60, and also playing the Academy at Night Stadium card from Shroud of Fable, really helping out to maximize the effect of the electric generators hitting by putting an energy on top. And also having yourself Iono protection with Academy at Night is actually something cool I really can get behind. Then Lucas Singh, the best Chien-Pao around, got the top 16 slot here, and this Chien-Pao is playing a 1-1 line of Palkia VSTAR, also playing that Silene that can get back stuff like the Prime Catcher, for example, or a Superior Energy Retrieval when need be. There's Iron Bundle in the list, so we can push people down to the wayside. You can take 2 prize cards with the Hail Blade of the Chien-Pao, or take 2 prize cards with the Ampy Very Much, or even use Moonlight Shuriken. No Cologne in here whatsoever, but they went for a split line of supporters with Cypher Maniacs, Code Breaking, Iono, and Silene on top of the 4 copies of the Irida. So very cool list, and I'm a big fan of playing the Palkia VSTAR here. Very great against Regidrago for sure. Then moving forward, the Japanese player Taisa Ito with the Lugia list here. They are playing 1 copy of the Minchino. Sometimes it's a very great way to use Call for Family. Definitely if you have like something like Great Ball or Capturing Aroma, finding Minchino, Jet Energy to the front, and then get 2 more basic Pokemon from the deck. But you have to be careful with 60 HP Minchinos, as of course Dragapult is lurking in the decks of the Regidrago list, and that sometimes can be a loose condition right there. Again, Mesagosa seems to be the most popular choice, and the 4th copy of Gust with Serena is also something I personally was thinking about, and Weirder also again included in the list. Weirder can of course absorb all the energies and then go crazy. I can get behind that, but my list is a little bit different. We'll talk about it later. Shinya Karashima, also from Japan here with Iron Thorns. This Iron Thorns plays an additional copy of the Penny. And again, Law City seems to be the best partner for Iron Thorns to make sure you can put those pesky Mimikyus in the Lost Zone and then be done with it, so you can win against a lot of archetypes by just using Volt Cyclone time and time again. And definitely with the Future Boost Energy Capsules, you can transfer, you free retreat your Iron Thorns into the next one and go right there. Also, Lost Vacuum, 2 copies in this list. Alright, moving forward, Nicholas Moffitt, Regidrago, again, this list is actually playing Iron Leaves. People were popularizing Iron Leaves in that Japanese tournament before Worlds, but it seemed like most of the people left Iron Leaves at home and went for the classic builds. This actually is playing 2 copies of Nightly Stretcher, and now that I think about it, it's actually not playing a single copy of Superior Energy Retrieval, even though that is an additional way you can get your Dragon-type Pokemon in that discard pile. Then there is Hayato Suzuki. I actually played against this person. This is actually playing Zard with Torton and also the Heroescape. So that was a very funky, random way to make sure some specific Pokemon cannot one-shot you. There is the surprise element of the Torton, and they also have the Barrel for some additional draw power. So this is a very cool 60 and a very consistent 60. I saw it at first glance, and this is actually one of the few decks that beat me at the World Championships. So Dusknoir and Dusclops are there to spread damage on the opponent's field while giving your opponent the prize card, and then you can make full use of stuff like Defiance Band and Counter Catcher. And down to my list, 21st here with Lugia. This actually is a very consistent, streamlined Lugia list. I want to make it as simplified as possible because the only thing that holds people back from playing Lugia is its consistency. So that's why I went for 4 copies of Great Ball, 4 copies of Capturing a Row, 4 copies of Ultra Ball, all the max consistency cards, and yeah, not too anything spicy. 2 copies of Lumineon as well, Iron Hands and the Blood Moon. That's all you need. I'm still a big fan of the 3-3 line of Chinchino and stuff. Cut down 1 Lugia V to add in that additional copy of Great Ball as well. So I think Great Balls are very great to get those Archeops into this discard pile because most of the time you will have access to at least 1 Archeops or an Ultra Ball or a Capturing Aroma, and then the Great Ball can get the next piece. You can discard them with Research and off you go. If you get 2 Archeops in the discard pile, you most of the time can win against anything in the format. Jamming Towers help out against, of course, Gardevoir to win that matchup, which is your more difficult matchups, but Jamming Tower also makes sure that against stuff like Raging Bolt, you can shut down their Bravery Charm. You can also shut down Forest Sealstone from working out, and that's also the way I personally beat Miraidon twice in a row with Lugia here by going all the way with Blood Moon and Iron Hands. Those are going to be the attackers. Also, Chinchino can get fired up, and Legacy Energy can swing the prize trade, and Jamming Tower shuts down stuff like, for example, the Rescue Board as well as Forest Sealstone. So this is a very streamlined 60, and I wouldn't change a single card. Everything here aligns perfectly. 16 energies, that's all you need because you can, of course, take initial prize cards with Iron Hands. You can also take prize cards in the late game with Blood Moon. I think this list is, I've tested a lot of Lugia, and that's why I actually chose this 60 for the event, and it paid off. So, with that being said, we're going to be checking out another Zard list here from Taiwan. Kai Yu Fang here with Zard, Pidgeot. This is actually playing Dusknoir, is playing the Cleffa as well. No B-Barrel in here, but they do, of course, all play that Pheasantipity. Pheasantipity saw a huge play in this tournament. This actually is a list playing a copy of Jamming Tower, so that's something funky. All the rest is something we've seen before from Charizard Pidgeot. Kawain Kababe from Australia here with another list here. This is actually the same list that James Cox actually used, and James Cox actually got 44th place, and I was also one of the lists that was able to beat me. A very consistent, streamlined list, and I do love myself the 2 copies of the Superior Energy Retrieval and the copy of Temple of Sinnoh. Only 1 copy of Dragapult EX, so they made room for that copy of Radiant Zard, which can sometimes upswing some matches. So cool for sure. Andrew Hendrick also on the Regidrago train, so Regidrago seems to be everywhere. It is the deck to beat most of the people, top players, and I know we're playing a very similar 60 to this. I don't know what the Professor Turo is there for. Sometimes it can help you get out of the X position or remove a liability like Squawkabilly, or help you to reuse Hawlucha or get rid of the Pokemon Kyurem you started with, but other than that, I personally wouldn't be playing Professor Turo in Regidrago, but that's just me. Then either Jarillo from Mexico, playing Lugia. This is actually similar to my 16, but in the sense is that they were actually playing Flutter Mane as well as Iron Bundle, so they were, of course, afraid of their abilities getting shut down there. Also only a 2-2 line of Chinchino. Similar vibe, but went for some additional tech cards. All right, then moving forward, there is Otavia Gouveia, I'm sorry if I pronounced it incorrectly, from Brazil, another Regidrago list. Same stuff we've seen before, 2 Nightly Stretchers, actually Night Stretchers in there. Then Alessandro Cremascoli, I was sitting next to him, actually on the same side of the table, hit left and right, and specific rounds. We do see here Pidgeot Control. Pidgeot Control here, and Alessandro Crimsol is the best control player in this modern time and age, definitely in this format at least. There's Pidgeot EX, Luxray, there's the Cornerstone, which can wall off, Genesect, which can shut off A-Spec cards if it has a tool card, very cool. The Wellspring Ogerpon with Sup, which can make sure the opponent is trapped, Sandshrew to make sure, item cards cannot put some cards back into your deck. Very interesting for sure. All these control-ish cards. We have Silene, Eerie. There's Erica's Invitation, Roseanne's Backup, Giacomo, Team Fortune Sisters. And you just try to play the control-ish game to make sure the opponent is out of resources. You can snipe away with the Fang Snipe of the Luxray in combination with stuff like Eerie to make sure the opponent doesn't have the resources to beat your lone Mimikyu or to beat your Cornerstone Ogerpon. Very nice, and Alessandro Crimsol definitely tested out all the matchups, and that's why he got so far into the tournament. Also a deck we need to check out on the channel ASAP. Alright, then we have Pedro Pertusi with Charizard Pidgeot, and that's also with the Dusknoir here. They are playing a copy of Entei, and also with the Entei in combination with the Fluttermane. So these are cards you don't typically see in Zar, but they were in there. Fluttermane is also one of the cards that can really help out if you see something like, for example, an Iron Thorns. That's going to be reopening your abilities, and then if your abilities are live and kicking again, you can just take care of that archetype altogether. Mist Energy also part of the deck, so you cannot get TMD vote, which is very cool indeed. Then a couple of Iron Thorns here on the 29th and the 30th place. Facundo Facio from Argentina playing Iron Thorns. Enhanced Hammer in there, Crushing Hammers, the Pokemon Catcher. So most people were on the same vibe here for Iron Thorns. Then also Timotis Gizjik, if I pronounce it correctly, from Poland. Playing that 06 Machinist. This actually is a very funky card, putting the opponent down to 3 cards, so they have to discard cards from their hand until they have 3 remaining, which can be very funky. And also are playing the Legacy Energy to turn one of the Iron Thorns into a 1-price Pokemon, so the opponent will need to hit through a lot of these to win the game. Handheld Fan is also something you don't see very often in Iron Thorns, and that was in there. Yuto Takahashi playing Raging Bolt on the 31st place here. Playing Iron Bundle. Only 2 copies of Pokemon Catcher was to be expected, as it was, of course, the same as the Japanese Nationals right there. Very similar lists that were played over there. Night Stretcher and Pheasantipity are new cards in the list of the Raging Bolt Ogerpon deck. And then the 32nd place was a Gardevoir. So Gardevoir didn't do all that well. Consistent list. No Hyper Aroma. It is Unfair Stamp, the most popular choice here. And then TM Devo as a tech card against Charizard. So a very streamlined version of Gardevoir. So any other very crazy list in that top 128? Let's check them out. Some more actually some more Iron Thorns, Regidrago, Charizard Pidgeot, Regidrago, Lugias. Then a Goldango here with Cameron Kawasaki playing this version of Goldango. Goldango was actually on stream a bit as well, so people were really hyped for the cheese stick itself. Goldango here playing Pokemon Catchers in the list, so they have no Prime Catcher, but they have the Hyper Aroma to set yourself up. So Goldango, not too keen on Goldango quite yet, but is in here. Then there's also Diego Casiraga with Ancient Box. And Ancient Box playing 1 copy of the Patchy for some switch outs, and also Great Tusk for some mill capabilities at one point. Ancient Box didn't perform all too well. Snorlax block with Ryan Antonucci from the United States here. It's a Snorlax block with 2 copies of the Cornerstone. I personally think that is a very scary Cornerstone, is very well positioned in the meta. Definitely because most of the cards in the format have abilities. Regidrago VSTAR, for example, Charizard EX. There's a lot of decks out there that only come packed with abilities. They opted to go for the Secret Box. I also saw a Snorlax block with Neutralizing Stadium, which was one of the few decks that actually tied against. So, and all the rest I won. So that's pretty interesting. Your A-Spec card of choice, sometimes it is going to be that, crazy 100 HP buffing tool. Sometimes it's going to be the Neutralizing Stadium. It all depends on what you want to be playing, I suppose. Okay, any other very funky decks that we want to be taking a look at? Lost Box with Marco Cifuentes, also from Chile. And this list actually is good old classic Sablezard. They are playing Spiritomb, and they were not afraid, apparently, of Kyurem. So with the help of the choice belt here, you can actually attack with Radiant Zard to knock out something like a Regidrago out of nowhere. And even if they want to bunch wipe you, they have the double mana fee. So they would need to get the Cologne. And sometimes you can even slap down 2 mana fees altogether. So that is going to be the answer against stuff like, for example, the popular Regidrago deck. So I love to see that Lost Box was not dead quite yet. Then some more Regidrago, Raging Bolt, Guardy, more of the same. Alexander Rutiewicz from Poland actually was playing Banette Gardevoir. So that's more focused on Banette, playing the Radiant Alakazam, Luminous Energy to work around with stuff like the Monkey Dory here, and some Crushing Hammer. So very cool as well to see that. There's also the Banette with the Puppet Mastering Shenanigans, or actually Puppet Offering ability to get back one of your supporters from the discards pile. All right, let's see. Anything other than the stuff we've seen before? Probably not. This was a World Championship where the meta was quite known. There's also a Dragapult here on the 123rd place that I'm going to check out, and that's going to be one of the decks. This is going to be one with, of course, the Barrel Engine, and there's also a Giacomo and a random Mela in here. So random stuff thrown into the list with a very thick line of Dragapult, the Barrel, and Radiant Zard in between. So I don't know. I'm very crazy to see that Dragapult did not perform. The best Dragapult list is actually a Regidrago list, and that was come to known here, because if we take a look at the day 2 meta analysis, this is exactly what it looked like, and that is going to be lots of Regidrago VSTAR, Lugia, Charizard, Raging Bolt, and Iron Thorns. So a little bit of Guardy as well, but that's pretty much what happened at the World Championship. So hopefully guys enjoyed this meta analysis and deck list analysis of the World Championships. If you enjoyed it, let me know by rocking the hell out of the like button. Helps out in ridiculous ways you have no idea. And as always, if you want to see more content, definitely hit that subscribe button. You're going to get more content coming your way. We're going to be testing most of these lists out, and then we're also going to be talking about the future and the upcoming stats. So the new season has begun. If you want to get better at the game, it is time for you to just learn everything there is to know. And with daily uploads, you're definitely going to be learning a thing or two. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for more Pokemon TCG content. Peace.